Hola amigos, S.P.M aquí. Hoy vamos a volver al Stanley Parable de Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Vamos a buscar algún final nuevo, supongo. The end is never. Is never the
This
end.
is the story of a man named Stanley.
No sé, lo sé.
Stanley worked.
Lo sé. Eh, sí, pues, la verdad que ya hace un tiempo, no sé. Eh,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Qué finales me faltan por ver?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Vale, no recuerdo exactamente por qué finales hemos visto. De momento el contenido nuevo sé que lo voy a evitar.
When
Vamos a...
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Vale.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door.
Creo que todos los caminos que había por ahí los vi. Así que vamos a hacerle esta vez caso.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the
No.
office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track.
Sí.
Now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Nada. Nada.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Decídete. Me va a cerrar la puerta.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Sí, sí. Tú busca, busca.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Vale. Esta puerta... un momento, esta puerta no va a ningún lado. Bueno. Vale. Oh, vaya, mira dónde hemos llegado.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just
Si ya hemos estado aquí.
Oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
Como quiera.
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm?
Vale.
Okay, from the top.
From the top.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No está abierta la puerta de nuevo contenido. Oh.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over.
No
Completely
parece.
fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change?
Algo cambió, algo cambió.
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
En esta ocasión no.
Move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Este va a ser que no. Pues por aquí. Muy. Hey.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh, había encontrado una zona nueva. Bueno,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
a estas alturas creo que... Oh, ya no hay puertas ninguna. Se acabó la aventura.
Okay, yep, it's worse.
Sí.
I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Vamos a ir directamente. Oh,
Ha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes.
vamos, historia. ¿Dónde te escondes? Oh,
Wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
oh. Esto no tiene buena pinta.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Bien.
Congratulations! I know
Gracias.
you've done a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all.
¿Por?
We both know you didn't put in any actual...
Oh, hombre, ¿cómo que no?
Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Oh. Oh, por fin, la línea. Estaba... No recordaba cómo hacíamos para que apareciera. Pero está aquí, por fin.
I've got a solution.
Por
This
fin.
time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Me encanta. ¿Cuándo pone la musiquita? Quiero mi musiquita de la línea. Quiero mi musiquita de la línea.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, Are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself?
Quiero la música.
Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I...
No te estoy escuchando, tú a tu bola.
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Por fin. ¡No!
Go back and look at that fern.
Que vuelva y mire qué. ¿El helecho?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Verde. Vale. Visto. Un derecho. Pon la música.
What? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ahí va.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you...
Well.
I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Otra vez.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Vale, pues por aquí. Ahora estoy...
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Podemos volver a...
Oh,
la línea.
not you again.
Tú.
Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
Oh, pero... Me gusta la línea y sobre... Hasta luego, línea. Podemos volver al...
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Que le gusta una elección.
We mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
No sé. Yo sigo pensando. No dice nada. Ah, mira, el final de la confusión. Aquí tenemos la estructura del juego. Desvíate de la sala de mantenimiento, llega a la sala de monitoreo del narrador, reinicia la partida. Primer reinicio. Descubre la habitación de las dos puertas que ahora tiene muchas puertas adicionales. Elimina sin rumbo. El narrador reinicia la partida. Segundo reinicio. La oficina ahora no tiene salida. Da la vuelta, encuentra otro camino sin salida. Llega a otro edificio. El narrador reinicia la partida. Tercer reinicio. La línea de la aventura. Música y filosofía sin sentido. Vuelve a la oficina, vuelve a la sala de monitores. Cuarto reinicio. Adéntrate en territorio inexplorado. Vuelve a encontrar la línea. Encuentra el cronograma del final de la confusión, que es este el que estamos viendo ahora. El narrador reinicia la partida. Quinto reinicio. El narrador se olvida de los reinicios anteriores. No me gusta. Esta isla intenta jugar a la historia, pero no se repite. No puede ir a ninguna parte ni hacer nada. La partida se reinicia sola. Sexto reinicio. Vuelve a encontrar la línea. Empieza a seguir la línea. Encuentra una réplica idéntica de la oficina que se empezó a deteriorar. Intenta inventar una historia aquí. El narrador reinicia la partida. Séptimo reinicio. Ya no hay oficina, solo un espacio negro. Deambula por la oscuridad. Encuentra una librería. Abúrrete y vete. El narrador reinicia la partida. Octavo reinicio. El narrador se ha ido después de mucho tiempo. Stanley muere. Pues vaya final más triste.
Oh, hold up. What's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
Nada más.
That's really how all this goes?
Eso parece.
It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped?
Sí,
Does that mean, did we do it?
eso
Did we
parece.
break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Algo pasará.
So, okay.
Vale, me voy a sentar.
Guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Oh, vaya. Eso no soy yo. ¿Y ahora qué? ¿Te has olvidado?
All of his co-workers were
Sí,
gone.
parece que sí.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¡Hey! Tenemos otro input de estos. Ay. Contenido nuevo. Vale, en esta
Stanley came to a
ocasión...
set of two open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he
En esta ocasión vamos a hacerle caso.
walked straight ahead to the opposite door and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Había un final ahí, que yo recuerde.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Lo de aquí ya lo hicimos, ¿verdad? Sí, ese es el final que no me gusta. Que tardas ahí, el tío se pone a charlar. Vale, dime el código.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the
8... No, no me acuerdo, la
that
verdad.
his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number.
¿Cuál es? 2845.
4-5. But of course, Stanley couldn't yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
¿Ah, sí?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
¿Qué pasillo más largo?
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ahí está. Más, seguimos cayendo. Ah, pues no. Ah, sí.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Ah,
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
oh. Vaya. Oh.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Buena pregunta.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Vale, esta parte la recuerdo. Pinturas de naturaleza. Este era una especie de medio museo del juego, algo así. La computadora de Stanley. Diagrama de la oficina. Aquí es donde empezamos. Pasillo. El ritmo de la sección inicial era crucial para el juego. El pasillo se movió y se modificó para que los jugadores llegaran a las dos puertas en un buen tiempo. Y aquí es donde empieza la primera elección. El escenario de las dos puertas fue la primera pieza concreta del diseño de Stanley. Una vez se creó esta habitación, el resto del juego surgió como una extensión, una exploración de la contradicción que se planteaba aquí. Archivadores. La oficina, con distintas puertas. Sonido de botones. Sección de los sonidos que se utilizan en el juego cuando se oprimen botones. En cada uno de ellos se combina un tono sintetizado con el sonido que se produce al presionar un teclado. Computadora de la oficina. Podemos apagarlas, pero no encenderlas. Los créditos. Y el impecable Kevin Brighting como el narrador. Basado en la obra del equipo de Stanley de 2013. Vale. Relojes de la oficina. Reloj de la oficina. La oficina del jefe, las distintas... Esta oficina no la hemos encontrado. Las otras dos sí. Zona subterránea, una versión inicial de la zona subterránea del juego. La sala de empleados. No voy a pasar de eso, no quiero... Final de la libertad. Esta fue la primera versión del Final de la libertad, en la versión alfa del juego. Escritorio de cuenta regresiva. Uno de los escritorios de una versión inicial del final de la cuenta regresiva. Final de la libertad. Este es el final de la libertad versión beta. Ascensor de la sala de monitores. Durante un tiempo el ascensor de la sala de monitores podía subir o bajar. Arriba estaba la libertad y debajo la cuenta regresiva. Abandonamos esta idea porque a los jugadores les costaba recordar qué había arriba y qué había abajo. Y en cambio pusimos dos finales juntos. Vale, este es el final. Habitación de la cuenta regresiva. Una versión inicial de la habitación de la cuenta regresiva. Prototipo del diseño del juego. Este es el nivel que William, el diseñador de niveles, le envió a Davey, el guionista, como una especie de obra de prueba. El nivel fue tan bueno que a William lo contrataron para diseñar todo el juego. Si bien gran parte del entorno cambió, la disposición de este prototipo continúa en el juego. Pues sí que hay cosas que ver. Le digo que este final sí que lo recuerdo del original. Sala de mantenimiento, una versión inicial de la sala de mantenimiento. La oficina. Más fotos. Fan. Ahí viendo a alguien de YouTube. Anuncios de Ultra Deluxe. Ultra Deluxe. En diciembre de 2018 hicimos el anuncio de la versión Ultra Deluxe de Stanley en The Game Awards. Aquí se muestran capturas de pantalla de los vídeos que hicimos para el anuncio y el retraso del juego. Zona de guerra. En las primeras etapas del desarrollo diseñamos un final en el que Stanley terminaba en un campo de batalla luchando contra alienígenas. Algo parecido a... Bueno, da igual. El juego de acción cobraba conciencia y le declaraba la guerra al narrador. Poco después de empezar a construirlo nos dimos cuenta de que era demasiado jocoso y literal para el tono del juego. Además, algunas personas interpretaban que nos burlábamos de los amantes de los juegos de disparos, y esa no era nuestra intención. Me recuerda a Subnautica. Correos electrónicos al narrador. Después de presentar el segundo avance, le pedimos a la gente que le enviara preguntas por correo electrónico al narrador. Planeamos usarlas en otros materiales publicitarios, pero nunca las encontramos en el lugar adecuado. Aquí puedes encontrar una selección de estos correos electrónicos. Congratulations. Greetings, omnipotent voice. Vale. Le encanta el juego. Vaya. Emails de scammers, la oficina, muy bien, más cosas de la oficina, la sala de empleados, una versión inicial de la sala de empleados, el cronómetro del apartamento, 1-0. En una versión anterior de la lección que conduce al final del apartamento, un cronómetro te daba 15 segundos para atender el teléfono. Si no atendía, llegaba a otro final. Finalmente optaron por la opción de desactivar. El montacarga, la segunda versión, cumple la misma función que la del juego final, pero queríamos que se pareciera a un lugar donde se almacenaban mercancías. El montacargas. El objetivo del montacargas siempre fue ofrecer la opción de quedarse en él o saltar hacia otro camino. Sin embargo, después de esta versión inicial decidimos agregar la opción de que el jugador cayera a la muerte. Diagrama de la sala de mantenimiento. Los pasillos que vienen luego de las dos puertas iniciales eran importantes por los jugadores. Los recorrerían muchísimas veces. Probamos con varios diseños, pero en definitiva ganó la versión más simple. Obedecer, desobedecer, ventilar. De Confusion Ending. Sala de reuniones. Modelo del final Zen. El final Zen tuvo muchas iteraciones. Esta sala representa la cuarta versión del final. Pensábamos que habíamos terminado, pero decidimos abandonarlo y modificarlo otra vez poco antes del lanzamiento. The game is no pause. Pause. Begin the game again. Resume the game. Option. Return. Final del menú. Durante mucho tiempo tuvimos un final que solo terminaba cuando el jugador reiniciaba desde el menú de escape. Por desgracia, muy pocas personas se dieron cuenta de que esto era lo que había que hacer, lo cual fue frustrante para todo el mundo. Palanca del final Zen. En un principio estas palancas eran parte del final Zen. Cuando el jugador accionaba las palancas, el narrador describía qué color había accionado. Final Zen. En la captura se muestra una versión inicial del final conocido como final Zen, que luego se descartó y se combinó con otra parte del juego. Avances. Lanzamos 4 avances principales durante el desarrollo del juego, cada uno de los cuales transmitía un aspecto del espíritu del juego. Este es el primero, publicado en mayo del 2012. En él se ve una serie de habitaciones rotas y la voz del narrador que les informa a los espectadores que está preparando una nueva versión de Stanley Parable. Vale. Ahí está la salida. Vamos a escuchar esto de aquí, que es lo que he ignorado antes, porque me daba mal el rollo escuchar las voces, pero...
all his button pushing. Does that sound plausible to you?
Toman de narración descartadas. Kevin Brackney, la voz del narrador, grabó el diálogo de todo juego en 3 momentos diferentes a lo largo de los 2 años de desarrollo. Aquí hay tomas iniciales que no se utilizaron en el juego final.
When Stanley came to the lift, he traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Stanley stood on the roof. Stanley jumped in the river.
Bueno. Stanley jumped in the river. Vale, pues creo que ya hemos visto todo lo que este mini museo ofrece. ¿Verdad? No, nos faltaba esto. Oficina de Stanley, de izquierda a derecha, la evolución de la oficina de Stanley. La primera se creó en noviembre de 2011, la segunda en marzo de 2012 y la tercera en febrero de 2013. Vale, pues ahora sí. Creo que está todo visto.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
¿Hablas del narrador y Stanley?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Oh.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
Vale. Hecho. ¿Algo más?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale, creo que vamos a ir ya, ¿no? A ver el contenido nuevo. No, vamos a hacer otra cosa antes.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
Vaya, lo siento.
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for
Ah,
a
venga, hombre.
with some calming new age music.
Poca. Iba a decir que poca paciencia tiene el narrador, pero somos nosotros los que no tenemos paciencia. Ah, venga.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Te has quedado ya tranquilo. Ya has contado, ya has soltado tu línea. A este juego le hace falta una especie de lista de finales.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
Oh.
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Pues eso, le hace falta una especie de lista de finales, ya cuando llevas unos cuantos. Sobre todo para no tener que andar
Now the monitors jumped to life.
repitiendo los que ya conoces.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
Never.
Unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Oh.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
1, 2. No puedo subir por aquí. Aquí tenemos el 5. Vale. 3. Me falta el 4, que será aquel de allí, y no puedo llegar. Así que vamos a venir.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Sí.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted?
Sí.
Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that.
Venga.
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Bien.
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Qué bonito.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I
Vale.
have to say this, though. This
No sé qué hay que hacer.
has been rather amusing. Watching you try to
Esta
be
pone
sensible
en morado.
and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around.
Button active, button hit. Pink, purple, quad.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
El único botón 2 que hay aquí es este.
You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter?
Pulsa el botón 2.
Is it that
Morado.
you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Más o menos.
Just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off. I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little
Vamos a ver. 2.
These
1.
numbered buttons. No, these
Dos.
colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door.
Incorrect.
Anything. Something.
3 azul.
Save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten?
2.
One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
3.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here,
No sé qué hacer.
that timer isn't a catalyst to keep the...
¿Dónde está el 3?
It's just seconds ticking away
Aquí.
to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment.
Incorrecto.
Powerless.
Pulsa 2.
You made humble.
En morado.
Challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control
Pulso
this world that
2. No.
I'm going to destroy it first. So
Goodbye, employee 427. Adiós.
the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Vaya. Por cosas como estas no me hace sentir mal las putadas que luego le hago. Hola. Y aquí estamos.
Co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale, veamos ya por fin el contenido nuevo.
New content? What does that mean, new content?
Oh, no lo sé. Vamos a ver a dónde nos lleva. Pero bueno, lo de Firewatch y el Rocket League es contenido nuevo.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
No sé, vamos a descubrirlo juntos.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Que Stanley no es... Oh, Dios.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Pues no podemos saltar en este juego. Ah, pues sí. Me parece gracioso que ni siquiera el narrador esté al tanto del contenido nuevo. Vale. Vale. Muy bien.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Espero. Otro ascensor de estos.
Goodness, another elevator.
Lo que he dicho.
I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Veremos a ver. No tengas tus expectativas muy altas. Gracias por disfrutar del contenido nuevo.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements.
¿Ah, sí?
It's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
Tú verás.
What do you say, friend?
Qué decepción. Oh. Sí que ha cambiado algo.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Voy. ¿Qué has descubierto?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it
Sí.
got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
¿Qué has hecho? Ay, va. ¿Qué has hecho, narrador?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Vaya, los premios que ganó. Ah, vaya. Bruce Stanley, Stanley Parable. Por un momento pensaba que tenía bien la hora. Ah, buenos tiempos. Oh, una foto de Stanley. Sonríe porque sucedió. $1. La demo de Stanley Parable. Inconseguible. Es imposible conseguir este logro. Vete fuera. No juegas por 5 años. Nominado. New video game release. El final de la muerte. El sitio es bonito. ¿En serio? Qué mal rollo.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Tendría que haberme quedado fuera escuchando la canción. Tenemos de nuevo una elección. Vale, la zona de mantenimiento no está abierta. Los botones. Persona del año. Los modelos de Stanley de la chica. Más botones. Para Scott. Tu número 29.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Bueno, como decía en otros vídeos, el juego originalmente estaba hecho en Source. Aquí parece que esto es donde lo consiguieron. Bueno, el Source SDK te lo podías descargar. Textura de alfombras. Stanley, yo diga narrador. Seguimos sin poder saltar.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh, las partes malas. Oh, la review de Steam.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
No lo sé, habrá de todo, como en botica. Ah, no recomendado. Este sí, pero no se ve.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
La cosa se está yendo al garete. Vamos a ver las revisiones malas o qué. Más no recomendados. Pero vamos, es normal, no a todo le gusta, no a todo el mundo le gusta lo mismo.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can.
En algunos finales sí.
This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
No tienes por qué.
The Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
El juego estaba bastante bien. En original. Pero no puedes contentar a todo el mundo. Y la verdad que es un poco pesado el narrador a veces. Esta es del 2016, 3 años después de que salió el juego. Pues eso, no todo puede ser bueno. Si todo es bueno, algo mal has hecho. Otra review negativa. Me pregunto si serán de verdad.
You have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Seguro. ¿Dónde hay un reloj aquí? Ah, ahí.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No.
A ver cuánto aguantas.
Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until
Está repitiendo.
time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245.
Está repitiéndose.
Of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think.
A ver.
Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices and not making choices.
No tomar una decisión es una decisión.
And not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone?
Sí.
It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
¿Seguro?
All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise,
Manifesto. Treated. Manifesto. Treated. Manifesto. Treated. Manifesto. Treated.
Manifesto. Treatise.
Treatise. Manifesto.
Treatise.
Treatise. Manifesto.
Treatise. Manifesto.
Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Vale, saco.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Un poquito.
But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review.
Esto es un juego nuevo.
Some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review
Sí.
in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology,
Bueno, nueva.
surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe? Such a revolutionary step forward in the lineage of one of the most beloved video game properties of all time. The additions and changes made to this expansion will surely resonate in the annals of the history of all media ever made. It is perhaps true to say that no mistakes are forever etched in stone, for the stone into which the Stanley Parable was carved has itself been transmuted, offering a message of hope to those who have ever erred in their judgment. You are not beyond redemption. You may change, and you may become more, so much more than you were before. If there is any message to be taken from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, it is this. What a fortune, a privilege, a joy it is to have had such an experience. It leaves me hopeful that as a community, as a world, there is time for us to become our greatest selves, as great as we ever could dream of in our wildest, most ambitious visions for a brighter future. Wow. Now, Stanley, that's a review. It's perfect.
¿Has terminado?
It's the perfect review. It's the review I've always dreamed of receiving. I have to read it again. It's simply too wonderful. I have to experience this just one more time. From the ashes
Frondy.
rises the phoenix of quality. How else do... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here?
Eso estoy buscando. ¿Dónde está la puerta?
Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere?
No.
A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall?
No.
Take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door.
Vale.
I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Vale, vas a esperar. Pues nada. Me había quedado dormido al final, de verdad.
Stanley!
Hey.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
¿Y no se encuentra puerta?
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen.
¿Pues lo creaste tú?
No idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again.
Pues
I
quítalo.
can't control anything in this room.
Oh, vaya.
I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback.
Vaya.
Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to bring anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of
Se ha reiniciado.
those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much?
Se reinicia el texto.
I haven't met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child. Wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury. To alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For who?
Me haría sentir mal si no fuera por los finales en el que él me putea a mí.
Room, waiting for you to press this button, to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it and that I'm going to be. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh my goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and
Este final se está alargando mucho.
tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
A ver cuánto tiempo ahora. Hasta luego.
Oh, hello. It's
No,
you.
no hay luz.
Here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year?
No, ni quiero.
Describe it for you.
Cuéntame.
To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible, the spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do,
Vaya.
that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Eso es un poco oscuro, ¿eh? Resumiendo, ¿quieres que sufra? ¿Qué? Vale. Sé lo que está haciendo. Está callado para que crea que estoy aquí solo.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of...
Está vuelto loco ya del todo.
It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review
Vale.
with all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking...
Siguiente. Tengo la sensación de que en una de estas me va a pegar un susto. Va a hablar de golpe de buenas a primeras.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Eso es lo que aparece en las pantallas de carga.
End is never the end, 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 is never.
Ha perdido la cabeza del todo.
The end is never the end.
¿Se acabará inundando esto? The never is end, the never is end, the never is end, the never is end, the never is end. Vaya. El edificio se está yendo al carajo. No sé cuánto tiempo ha pasado. Pero mucho tiempo. Lamentablemente no tengo linterna. ¡Oh! Luz. Mira, narrador, una salida. La escalera cuenta bien el paso de los años. Bueno. Vamos a seguir esperando que el edificio se destruya. ¡Oh! La naturaleza. El narrador se ha quedado de nuevo callado. Más naturaleza. Bueno, es de noche. No hay naturaleza. Esto da mal rollo. ¿Dónde se ha ido la naturaleza? ¿Qué ha pasado? ¿Vamos a llegar al final de los tiempos? Algo me dice que vamos a ver algo por aquí. Vamos a ver algo por aquí que nos va a asustar. ¡Oh! ¡Oh, vaya! ¿Dónde funciona el botón? Como hagan una referencia a Journey. Esto es lo que queda del memory lane del narrador. ¡Oh! ¡Oh! ¿Se habrá quedado el narrador callado? No, aquí está de vuelta.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Vale, pues me parece entonces nuevo contenido. Vale. Esto ya no lo vamos a ver hoy. Así que nada, esto es pues todo por hoy. Gracias por acompañarme y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Hasta otra.